So that we have an idea of where all of you are as I give this presentation, I have a few questions for you. How many people in the room and on Zoom indicate that you need hearing help when you make an airplane reservation? And so people in the room, we'd like you to raise your hand if you do that, and people on Zoom, raise your hand with the raise the hand feature. Okay, I'm very happy to hear that. So in the room, so the people on Zoom know, we had 2 people raise their hands. I'm going to ask the question again, just to make sure that everybody understood me. All of the major airlines have options for you to let them know that you have special needs. All of you need to let the airlines know when you make your reservation, after you make your reservation, when you're at the gate, that you have hearing loss. So I fly Southwest frequently, and they have a section there's a question, do you have special needs? You click on that, and there are like 10 options that open up. And for Southwest, they don't say hard of hearing, they say deaf. And I'm fine with that. It's enough for them to understand that I have problems hearing. At a workshop I attended at an HLAA convention, the presenters talked about additional importance of doing that. If you have selected that you have special needs, you will never be bumped from a flight. They don't bump people with special needs from a flight. That should be a big thing for everybody. Also, for most of the airlines, it'll print on your ticket, on your boarding pass, that you have special needs. I always check in at the gate. I let the people at the gate know that I'm hard of hearing. I can't hear the announcements. You are entitled to pre-board. I'd like to pre-board. I'm just letting them know. Good morning.
Okay.
Kathy, is there a reason you didn't turn on your telecoil?
Is that better than that?
I think the telecoil is better than this. I think the hearing loop in this room is better than your microphone. Do you have your cell phone with you?
Yeah.
Go open up your app.
My T-call goes through this. They change it to T-call mode. Sorry to interrupt your meeting.
So in the room, 2 people said that they have special needs. Now that I've talked about this a little more, is there anybody else who knew about that but didn't understand my question? Please raise your hand. Everybody in the room who says they have special needs. Okay, so we have a couple more people. Okay. And how many? So online. So Bruce Nelson, can you raise your hand in the icon in the menu bar? So we don't know whether we can or not. Okay, a couple of people on Zoom. Did you know that hotels are required to have disability kits? When you make a hotel reservation, you need to ask for a room with accessibility because you have hearing loss. How many people do that? Well, of course you do, Jim. Nice to see you. Welcome. So in the room, only one.
I just wanted to say I have a ticket for TSA that says I can't hear. Hello. It's working. She's not holding it close enough to her mouth. Oh, I'm sure.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
She was holding it out here. I just wanted to say that TSA has a thing that says I can't hear. And the minute I go into the line, I give it to them.
Yeah, but that's not the airlines.
Everybody.
And I'm going to talk about that today. And we have special cards for everybody that we had printed, and you'll all get a new one. Okay, so we're talking about hotel rooms. So usually in the kit that they have, Usually in the kit that they have, there'll be a doorbell for answering the previous question, or do you have a question now? Okay, so you can put your hand down or you need to unmute yourself. Oh, there we go. We're good. Okay, so in the hotel kit. Oh, Bruce, do you have a question?
No.
No, okay, thanks. Okay, in the hotel kit, there is usually a door knocker because we can't hear people knock on the door. You take your hearing aids, cochlear implants out. There is usually something for the telephone. There are a whole assortment of things in this kit, all of which you might not need because they package them all together, but you need to ask for that. And how many people have the emergency information set up in your smartphone? At a previous meeting, we distributed postcards for people to have in your car that lists your brand and make of hearing instrument. So does anybody in here have their emergency information in their smartphone? Nobody in this room. Does anybody on Zoom have the emergency information in their smartphone? Okay. Everybody has some work to do. And that's why I give this presentation. And I can't give it enough times. I think that I have said the same thing over and over again until I'm blue in the face. And then we have a situation like today, and few of you had it connect in the times I've said it. So this is a reminder to everybody that once we transition into recognizing, knowing we have hearing loss, we need to make changes to our lives so that we can live our best life. You don't want to hang out in your home because you can't get along in the world outside of your house. So that's one of the reasons that we're here, to help each other do that. Most of us like to think that we're doing much better than we may really be doing. The power of positive thinking, or, oh, it's not that bad, or I got 2 cochlear implants during the pandemic and very successful cochlear implants. People most of the time cannot tell that I have any problems with my hearing loss anymore, but they don't fix your hearing. They certainly make things better. I'm certainly living in a world that I never thought would be possible for me ever again. But I never know when I'm not going to be able to understand something. So for the people who are puzzled by when I said, oh, I have hearing loss, but they look at me and I'm understanding them, they're trying to figure out a language to communicate that it's not 100%, it's not all the time. I came up with the phrase, people with hearing loss live uncertain lives. We never know when we're going to be able to understand and when we won't. And so we need to, it's our obligation to make sure that we're prepared. So we always need to ask for assistive listening, which is mandated by the Americans with Disabilities Act for people with disabilities. And we have the disability called hearing loss. Because if you wait, if you're positively, oh, I'm doing fine, I don't need that, whether it's going to the doctor, your dentist, and the dentists are the worst, wherever you're going to a presentation at the library. If you wait till the last minute and it turns out you can't understand them, it's too late to get it. It's too late for them to do anything to help you be able to stay engaged with life. Yes. So here we have a question here. And so everybody gets to know each other. When you start talking, can you say your name? No, but you have to say it into the microphone so everybody can hear it.
And my name is Carol. I went recently to the Berkeley Claremont branch library to take a class in a room half this size. And they had no idea about hearing loss accommodations. They couldn't do anything for me. So
Did you ask ahead of time?
no,
Okay, it's exactly what I'm saying.
she's ahead.
You
of
have
her.
to ask ahead of time. And what you would do is you would call up the library and say, I have the disability of hearing loss. I want to do this. I will need to have communication access in this room of, you're saying 12 people. Was the teacher, educator, whoever was directing the class, did they use a microphone?
No, and they
Okay.
had no loop system, obviously.
No, just a minute. So if they're not using a microphone, they're not required to have a system. A system is built in,
Oh,
but they are required to provide communication access for you.
really?
And a way that they would do that, could do that, is that they would use a portable FM system. The presenter would have an FM transmitter. It actually looks similar to what something like this. This is the transmitter. And he would have on a headphone, and they would give you a receiver. And if you have a telecoil, you would get a neck loop that connects to that receiver. You would put your hearing instrument in telecoil, T-coil mode, and it wirelessly communicates to you.
Okay.
Okay, so this is our onus, right? So this is a perfect situation. So now we need to follow up. So I'm going to ask you to follow up with the Berkeley Library, and I'm here to support you. I can't do everything. We all are here to improve our communities. And so this is a situation for you. So you take your steps. You're making it better for everybody else behind you and yourself. And I'm here to support you and help you as you run into roadblocks. How does that sound?
Good idea. My second question, going back to what you earlier said about airline reservations, you tell them you have a hearing problem. How will they accommodate you so the listener can hear better?
So I have a slide on that. There's an Air Carriers Act. There's a law for that. But the first thing is at the gate, you get to pre-board.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's part of the presentation. So hang on and see if at the end you're
So
still.
it's not listening at that moment to hear it better.
Yeah, no, I'm going to talk about it
Oh,
more.
okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So see what happened? This situation, Carol gave us a perfect example of she waited till she got to the class to ask for something and it was too late. So you have to ask ahead because unfortunately, some of the staff don't know. And if they say they don't know, then you ask to talk to the head librarian because they're required by law to have them. So today we're talking about travel. So where might you expect to find some accommodations? Where might you need them? At the airports and with airlines, obviously. Amtrak and commuter trains. I'm very happy to say that members of HLAA Northern California, and especially the members of our chapter, advocated with BART. All of the new BART cars have hearing loops on them, and all of the agents' booths at BART have hearing loops. And that's just because of us. Cruises. Lots of people don't know that there are things for them on cruises. They don't think about it. They don't ask. And all cruises and the tours related with the cruises all have communication access. If you ask and it's problematic, I think Anita Ogden is here today. And Anita and I worked together. Anita went on a tour. Oh, I can't think of what the name of it is at the moment. And asked, and they said, no, they didn't have anything. She said, hey, you said they have something. I said, let's go back. And she kept working back and forth like that. And lo and behold, yep, the tour guide had it. And at the end, even provided a neck loop. Can take some work on your part, but they're required to do it. Taxis, all New York City taxi cabs have hearing loops. You can see in the picture here, they have a hearing loop on the side, loss hearing access symbol on the side of that taxi cab. The bottom two pictures I took in France. I was in France several years ago, and they had hearing loops in elevators. Now, I had never seen one in the United States, and that's something we should really speak up about, because in an emergency, we would not be able to understand what they're saying in that little microphone. On buses and in hotels. At airports. TSA can be problematic. I've had situations at TSA, I couldn't understand what they were saying to me. I had problems at TSA. They wanted to go through my bags. The person's talking to me. I didn't understand what he was saying. I was telling him over and over again, I'm hard of hearing. I can't understand you. That was before I found out about the TSA Cares program. TSA has a program for people with disabilities, all kinds of disabilities. You can notify them 72 hours before your flight. And in the past, I used to print these cards off my computer and distribute them. And I got smart. I finally had them printed. They're really nice cards. They're plasticized. You won't have to worry about them getting mine always had bent corners and looked like it had been through the mill. These will last forever. It says hearing loss on the back. On the front, it gives you the directions how to contact TSA Cares. And I'm also the Northern California chapter coordinator. In our last coordinators meeting, somebody said that they had called TSA Cares and they had a little bit of difficulty at the airport finding the person that they needed at TSA, but just kept saying, oh, I'm supposed to have this person. Finally got that person, and they were completely escorted through TSA, so they didn't have to worry about a thing. Now, I use this card in different ways as well. So this is pretty clear, right? It says hearing loss. I don't know why when you tell people you have hearing loss, they really don't quite get it. There's something that happens that magic doesn't happen when you say that. I've told people before, I'm hard of hearing, I can't understand you. Can you please write that down for me? Now, I don't know what's difficult to understand about write that down for me. I've had to say it 10 times. Finally, one person I was talking to after the 10th time, they still didn't understand what I needed. And the person sitting next to them wrote it down for me and told me. So it's just a reality that we have to deal with. So what I do is, when I first go to the airport, I'm checking my baggage. You have to take out your driver's license to show them that I have this with my driver's license. So when she's checking my driver's license, I'm holding my hearing loss card. I've already told her or him that I have hearing loss. It's reinforcing for people what our situation is. When I go to the gate and I talk to the agent at the gate and I tell them that I have hearing loss, I can't understand the announcements, I'm holding this card at the same time so that it's reinforcing that. So I'm just sharing some tips and tricks that I use to help navigate the world a little better. And so we have one for everybody today.
I'm sorry. First meeting for me. What is TSA?
You know, at the airport, when you go through security,
Yeah.
that's called TSA.
Oh.
Let's see, and it's actually, what's the acronym for? Transportation Security Administration, is that right? Yeah, TSA.
And it's as you go through. I'm not sure. As you go through the gate and you show your passport or whatever for identification.
So you know when after you check your bag,
Yeah.
and then you have to go to the next place
Yes.
that's called security.
Okay.
That's TSA.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. And thank you for asking that. You may not be the only person in this room or on Zoom who that was not clear to them. Okay. So, yeah, hi. Wait a minute. Oh, with a reminder, with a hearing loop, everybody, and with assistive listening systems, everybody has to talk through the microphone for the system to work. Prince.
Thank you. So is perhaps the TSA agent you're speaking with required a card? You should offer them a card, a hearing loss card. They wouldn't hear you. That was a joke.
Prince, I didn't understand whether you're making a comment or asking a question.
Perhaps you should have made the TSA agent that did not hear you, they get a hearing card themselves.
It's a joke.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Alan. Yeah, no, they might not have either. And sometimes they don't know what their own card is. Okay, and so it says TSA on it. It has the directions on here to contact TSA. So just, oh, I guess you haven't seen, make a joke of it. Oh, I guess maybe you haven't seen one of your own cards. Did you know that this is available to people? Okay, so more people than know. There's also a global movement, and fortunately, Jim remembered to wear his lanyard and I forgot mine. It's called the Hidden Disabilities Movement. It's called the Sunflower Movement. And I have, oh, I didn't bring that. I made a list for everybody of hearing loops in major airports, and there's a list of, you can go online and see it. The idea behind this, it started in Great Britain, was that if people have invisible disabilities, nobody can see it. People don't know, maybe somebody needs help. And they thought this was a discreet way of alerting people in the airport that somebody might need assistance. So fortunately, for a long time, the San Jose airport has been a member. But in the springtime, San Francisco airport became a member. So now we just need to get the Oakland airport on board. So anybody who wants to work on that with me after the convention is over, please let me know. And if we don't make a fuss, we're probably not going to get it. Hi, nice to see you today. So the one Jim has, the one you'll get at the airport, is so that you can write on it the information about you. You can also order it directly from Sunflower Lanyard. And Jim, can you maybe pass it around here?
Yeah.
And so what they do is they print it right on there, what your disability is, all these things specific to you. And what was it, like $25
It
with
was-
shipping or something?
I think it was 18, but yeah, I had to apply for that and send them a picture of me. And so they put the picture right on it. I've never actually used it at an airport. I don't travel much.
Yes, Carol. Carol.
If you wear that through TSA, you're going to have to take that off because it's got metal clips.
I've had all kinds of things recently that they haven't made me take all kinds of metal things off.
Oh,
So it's getting a little more, less stringent. And maybe it's because I have gray hair and you don't. Okay. And this is a perfect reason for you. Contact TSA Cares and they'll just help you through. You don't have to worry about those things. Please. So Amtrak does have assistive technology. It's on their website. They're committed to communication access for people. Jim had an experience last year where he couldn't get access on Amtrak. So I just want to alert people that you need to plan ahead again. So this is right from the Amtrak's website. Amtrak continues accessibility investments as it celebrates its 34th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Okay. There is an Air Carrier Access Act. And I put it up here because most people don't know that this exists. So the Air Carrier Access Act prohibits discrimination in air transportation by domestic and foreign air carriers against qualified individuals with physical or mental impairments. And it goes on to give some dates and times for when the airlines are required to be compliant on the airplane. So there is movement to have captions on airplanes so that you can understand what the crew members are saying. So if you take a flight and you can't understand them, the flight attendant didn't come by to tell you something that was an emergency or ensure that you could understand how to get out of the plane if you needed to, file a complaint. Let them know. If we don't let them know, how can they determine what needs to happen? Squeaky wheel gets the grease. I talked about at the beginning how many of you are listing with the airline that you need special assistance. So American, Delta, United, Southwest, JetBlue all have this. I don't know that every single airline has this. The image that you see there for special assistance was mine from a flight on Southwest. So they have a little box on the front where you have your ticket, and it says, I think it says, do you need special assistance? And when you click on that, when you're online, it opens up this window, and you can see there that mine says deaf or hard of hearing, but when it prints on your ticket, it prints deaf. It doesn't print both. So it'll look a little something like this. Okay. So you're on the airplane. There are many ways that we can understand information that's on the airplane that we can provide ourselves, even though they're required to provide communication access for you. I always make sure that I'm prepared so that in case they don't, I can take care of myself. So on lots of flights today, there really isn't any entertainment. So this picture that's right there is on a flight that had they're like built-in iPads on the screen, and they all have audio ports. If the device has an audio port, you could use a neck loop. You just plug the neck loop into the audio port, and you put your hearing instrument into the telecoil mode. So Shirley, see, there are more situations where you could possibly use a telecoil than just in a room. Last year when I gave this presentation, I had an AirFly and I loaned it to somebody at one of our meetings, and whoever I loaned it to can't remember that I loaned it to them, or they lost it, and we don't have it at the moment. But if you see in this picture, the little white piece, that is a Bluetooth transmitter. And some hearing aids work with this, some don't. So I know it works with Phonak hearing aids because I have advanced bionic implants, and they're made by the same company who makes Phonak, and it worked for me. So when I plug this AirFly Bluetooth transmitter in there, and I have paired my device to the transmitter beforehand, it streams wirelessly. I can hear everything on that entertainment system, just like you're in a hearing loop, or you had an FM or something else. The premium personal assistive technology is made by Phonak. You can use it with all hearing instruments by using a universal adapter, and the system is called Roger, and it's very expensive, like $2,000. Okay, so I have a Roger system. But, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I can even show you. So it's a device about this big, really easy to lose it. Plugging in my Roger on the airplane and all the things that happen on the airplane, getting in and out, the whole thing. I don't want to lose my Roger. The AirFly is like $35. If I lost AirFly or left it, it's no big deal, right? It's like the cost of going to the movies with a Coke. And so Marlene has her Roger here, Roger on. She's holding it up for somebody to see. Hang on a minute. So she has it on the lanyard, and this is what it looks like when it's not on the lanyard. Do you know how easy that is to lose that? $2,000 out down the drain. So AirFly is a wonderful option to be able to use because it's so inexpensive and it works if it works for you. Also, you can use a mini microphone. So Phonak makes Roger, but they also make mini microphones. And Kathy, who brought up her mini microphone to me, that's a mini microphone. And Kathy, do you have yours handy? Oh. So this is the Cochlear mini microphone, and it has an audio port on the bottom. And so this is for people on Zoom. So most things that have an audio port, you can plug into anything else that has an audio port. Now, you may run into a situation that some of the cables you have are mono. You might want to just throw into your bag, like I have little round zipper pouches, and I have all kinds of little adapters in there. I have a mono to stereo, stereo to mono. If I plugged something in, and I'd try that, right? So Kathy, you really want me to sit this here rather than put it on me?
Yeah, it's powerful enough to just sit there.
Yeah, but I'm afraid of knocking it on the floor. And I knock it on the floor, you're going to break it.
It's okay, yeah, great. Thank you.
Okay, so today Kathy's preferring to use her mini mic rather than using the hearing loop assistive listening system that's being provided by this location. So I don't know why she's choosing to do that, but that's her personal preference. But you can see the reason. This is a perfect example of, you can understand the reason why they're required to provide the systems. This only works at the moment 1-to-1. In our room here, if everybody were relying on this, I would have to have one of these for every person here to have it streamed directly to you. Now, in the future, that's changing. It's anticipated it's going to take a considerable amount of time for this transition to take place. An expanded form of Bluetooth is on the horizon, and it's called Auracast. I just wanted to mention that in passing. So hotels, you need to ask for the ADA guest room kit. Has a standard, I think I have a typo on my slide. I think that should say TTY, which is a kind of telephone. And most of us have never seen that telephone because we have caption telephones at home. So as soon as we got caption telephones, that became obsolete, but the law didn't change. And so that's part of the kit. A visual door knocker, a handset for the telephone, amplify the telephone, a alerting device for the ring on the telephone, an alarm clock with a bed shaker. I was at an HLAA convention and 2 women were sharing a room. I was down in the bar celebrating with my friends and colleagues, and One of the women went to her room and the other woman decided that she wasn't ready to go to bed. And so she was doing whatever she was doing. So maybe it was 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And this was a convention that was on the East Coast. So, for us, that's early. And this woman's in the hallway and been in the hallway for quite a long time. So the woman who she was sharing a room with went into the room out of habit, locked the door, put the little latch over the door, took her hearing instruments out, and she could not hear anybody knocking on the door. She couldn't hear anybody calling that room. It took hours to get that woman into her room. I think it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and they finally had to take the door off the jamb to get in the room. So just as a personal experience, I wouldn't have believed that if I hadn't seen it, right? Being prepared, thinking ahead. You could be thinking, oh, my husband's always with me. Somebody's with me, my partner, whatever. Yeah, so what happens if they leave to go do something and you're in the room by yourself? What happens if you take a nap? So just keep those things in mind. All hotels have kits. Now, others are required to provide assistance for us, and we also have an onus to make sure that we know how to use things in case they don't have something. One of the most beneficial things that I think that any of us can have on our smartphones, other than the app for our hearing instrument, is a speech-to-text app. A speech-to-text app is different than a speech-to-text app that is for using on the telephone. For speech-to-text apps that you use on the telephone, like this one here, we happen to have caption brochures. And I recommend everybody have a speech-to-text telephone app. But I'm not talking about that at the moment. I'm talking about just a speech-to-text app. Now, at this time, all of the telephones have that built into it. If you have an Apple phone, it's called Live Caption. And if you have an Android, it's called Live Transcribe. Live Transcribe was the first transcription speech-to-text app that was built into a smartphone. There are many other speech-to-text apps that are not made by either Apple or for an Android phone that can be much more robust than Live Caption. Everybody for sure in this room should either have Live Caption or Live Transcribe readily available on your phone. One of the apps that I frequently use, which is probably the most robust of all of the speech-to-text apps, is called Ava. Now, the reason this is more robust than the other apps, because the other apps only allow one person in the conversation. So it's a running stream of anything that's being heard. Ava allows multiple people to be in the conversation. So during the pandemic, this was especially valuable because we had a 6-foot limitation on distance. So all of the speech-to-text apps, the closer you are to the microphone, the more accurate the speech-to-text is. So on Ava, they made it so that you can rotate the microphone. And let me see if I can take this. Oh, I know how I can do this. So why that was especially valuable in the pandemic, I'm in the grocery store, right? And somebody has a mask on. And I wanted to understand what they said. I had my speech-to-text Ava app on, And I told them, because nobody would like to have anything just put in your face. Okay, so I had my, hang on a minute, it went to my processor. Okay, so I have my Ava app on, and I tell the clerk and the grocery clerk, I said, oh, I'm hard of hearing. I've gone to the grocery store forever. Of course they know that, right? Said, oh, I don't know if I'm hard of hearing. And with face masks, it makes it even worse. And in order to help me understand what you're saying, I'm going to use a speech to text app. Have you ever seen one? And I have it running, and I'm telling them and I'm showing them like this, and everybody's really blown away because, see, they've never seen that. They didn't know the technology was like that. So right now I'm holding this so that, see, the microphone is here. I'm, what, 6 inches from the microphone? But obviously, if you're in the grocery store, the grocery clerk is further away from you. So what I would do is I would rotate it and then extend my arm. And so in doing that, that made the microphone was closer to them, and they made Ava so you could rotate it in any position. So, and why that's so important is we tend to put our hand here at the bottom where the microphones are. So you're covering the microphone. Okay? You can be anywhere and use this. You can use it in your doctors. Okay, so the reason is, so right now on this app, and I'll try and show you, here's my profile image. If I was connected to someone else, could be in this room, could be across the country on Ava, their profile image would come up here, so you would know there were 2 people in the conversation. And I think you can have up to 10 people. And then each person is identified by name, so you know who's talking. So you get an idea about how wonderful this could be. You can have translation. Oh, let me turn this off. Okay. You can have translation apps. There are some that allow you to create a phrase book. You can have phrases in there. There are alerting apps. And those of us who are on the HLAA Get in the Hearing Loop committee, which is now no longer active, approached Google to have them include an accessibility feature in Google Maps. And after working with them for a really long time, I'm very happy to tell you that Google Maps has an accessibility feature for hearing loops. So if you're going to go someplace, you can put the location, look the location up in your phone and go to accessibility, and you can find out if they have a hearing loop there, so you can know before you go. Some of the other things that you need to have some extra batteries. This could be today, it's getting a little trickier for us because some of us have rechargeable hearing devices. You could potentially take another rechargeable battery for some of them. Some of them have an additional component that you can switch out between the rechargeable battery and a zinc air battery. We live in fire and earthquake country. If I got caught out in either of those situations and it went over my time limit for my rechargeable battery, I would be sunk. I keep the additional battery feature that I have for zinc air batteries for my cochlear implant. And so that you have an idea of what it is. On these, this is the battery, it comes off. So they have a secondary piece that's like this, and you just press a little button and the inside opens up, and you put regular, it looks like regular batteries, but they're made for cochlear implants. Okay, other companies have similar things. I usually keep it in my purse. Okay, so if something happened, more than likely I'm going to have my purse, right? I'm taking care of myself. Your phone has a health profile that you can activate in the phone, and it's valuable for multiple reasons. First of all, it's set up so that emergency personnel can activate your health profile without logging into your phone. So once that's set up, they all know that. If they saw that you had a phone, they would be looking to see if you had your health profile set up. And you can put tons of things. You can put all your medications, you can put your hearing instruments, everything that you want to in there. I personally believe everybody needs to have that on their phone. You could have a medical alert bracelet. They make them. And just because I'm telling you this doesn't mean that I have taken care of everything that I'm telling you about, right? Because I don't have this. They even make them that they are little pieces that you slide onto your Apple Watch band. And it's your emergency alert here, so you don't have to wear a separate bracelet. And for those of you who know me, you know I love ethnic and Native American jewelry. And my primary care physician is a woman from India. And I jokingly say to her, because I'm hardly ever without a bracelet, I keep telling her, we're sisters of the heart, women in the world who wear bracelets. So even though I have my bracelets, I don't have my little piece from my smartphone, my watch. But if we can't talk, something happens to us, we can't talk. Or you were in a foreign country and the things on the watch, they're symbols that are universal. At least it's alerting somebody else to something that may be able to help you. And all of us want to feel safe when we travel, right? That's the reason. So Carol, I think that you had a question, right?
Yeah, just going back to Ava, is that a subscription app?
Okay. Ava has a free version and subscriptions. Now, I at one time had a paid version. The one that you are just seeing right now is the free version. And two things that happen if you get the paid version. You get higher quality captions. You get a longer period of time that you get to use it. The free one only works for 40 minutes. So if you went over 40 minutes, you just have to stop it and start the conversation again. Okay? Yeah. So I'm hoping that you learned enough to make your trips, your upcoming life, the things that you're going to do more enjoyable and feel more secure, that you're going to be able to be safe. You're also going to be able to hear and understand the things that are going on in the world around you. I also made a list, and this is compliments of Steve Frazier. He compiled this list, and he's in New Mexico. And one side of this document has U.S. airports known to be in the hearing loop. And these are airports, other ones on the back side that also have globally other hearing loop things. And I made one. I hope I made enough for everybody. Zohair, are you still here? Can you come pass these out? I have been accused before of overloading people. I keep trying to not give you too much information. If you're feeling overwhelmed because that happened, it's okay. We all learn at our own pace. And each little bit that you learn builds on the next. So please don't want anybody to feel bad about themselves if, oh my gosh, that was so much. I don't know how I can remember that. So now I'm going to open up both Zoom and the meeting for questions. Does anybody have any questions? Please wait for the microphone.
I have major problems in theaters for the plays. Even if they have not a loop, but some sort of device that you can wear, it's rarely satisfactory. And I've stopped going to plays because I just can't make out what they're saying. Do you have any suggestions about that?
Yeah. So first of all, when you go to a place and the assistive listening system isn't working appropriately, what do you do?
Yeah, I go back and I talk to them, but they're usually volunteers or others sitting there who have no idea what I'm talking about. And so it doesn't really help.
Okay, so I wish that you had contacted me when this happened because you thought, oh, you tried, they weren't interested, but they're required by law to have that. So it was just the person who you were talking to that they didn't have good training there. And so if you had contacted me and if it happens in the future, contact me and we'll go up the chain of command. We'll go to somebody who is either interested or will file a complaint. And that's what needs to happen. Now, the other option is captions. Okay, I've attended theater performances with captions, and there is on Broadway in New York, some of them use a device called Gala Pro. And so here you used it when you were there. Can you talk about your experience with Gala Pro? You need the microphone though.
So some theaters, like the Berkeley Rep, has a program, and they will, if you have a problem, they will set it up for you. And then the actors, when they are talking, you can actually see their conversation on your phone. So it's all synced so that whatever the actors are saying, you can read it on your
So
device.
actually, if it's Gala Pro, they read it in before it's not live. Gala Pro is not live.
That's true.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
So
what
it
they
is
so
synced,
so
yeah.
Gala Pro, if it's like a known play with a script, they read the script and time it into their app so that you could read what is happening, but it wouldn't be word for word live. Okay.
This is something else I want to mention. There are a number of movie theaters which now have open caption. So, like when you see a foreign film, there are captions on the bottom. There are many theaters now who do that for English versions of the film. And the one, I don't know if there are any in nearby.
None in our county.
Not in, yes.
So that's something to work on.
But if you go to Berkeley, the Elmwood Theater, Rialto Elmwood Theater, has on certain days, I think it's Tuesdays, their movies have open captions. So it's, for us, it's otherwise, you can always ask for those closed captions on that device, which kind of is on a gooseneck, and you can see what they're saying. But this one is right on the screen, at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, so several years ago, the movie theater that's at Crow Canyon, I can't remember if it's Regal, maybe. So we approached them as a group to see, I think it was called Crazy Asians. And it was the first time they'd ever done that in the afternoon. And so I think 10 of us went. But if you want to do things like that, we have to have somebody who's willing to take care of it and just set it up, and we could all go ahead and do that. So on that one, I set it up, and so the film started, no captions. Couldn't believe it, right? And we'd had this whole conversation before because we were waiting as a group. So I went out, and the person came back in, and then they went out again and went back and forth, right? While this was happening, the movie was running, right? So we were missing the whole beginning of the movie. And I was thinking inside, and then they got them to work. I was thinking inside, I guess we missed the beginning of the movie. And then to my complete amazement, and I've never forgotten this, it's always been this kind of like little voice inside me, and you really did a good thing. They started the movie all over from the beginning for us. I mean, it was really cool. So anyway, so we could do that. So if people are interested in that, you just need to let us know. Okay, so this movement to have captions in the theaters. Other places around the country are more active. In our chapter, we've had a hard time getting people to want to work on things. And one person, two people can't do everything. And so we can only do what we have enough people who are willing to work on it. So if anybody has any interest whatsoever, please let us know. Okay, are there any other questions? We have another one in the room. And if you have a question on Zoom, please raise your hand.
And when you go to see a play and you use that Go app, does it distract people around you with a lit up phone?
That's not really your problem, is it?
Someone will complain.
No, it's not. That's what the theater is providing for you to use. And if they want to, and if people complain, then they can think of another way to provide the accessibility that we need. Okay, so this is a whole piece about not feeling uncomfortable because you have a disability, to do what you need to do to be able to participate. Yeah, there's another question right here.
The Gala Pro doesn't disturb too much. If you hold it down, I use it all the time along with the listening device. Not always great. And that's the first time you found out that it's not live. I just always assumed. I just used it a week ago at Berkeley Rep. My question is different. I don't know if it's not relevant. I belong to a big Rossmore group, about 35 people that sit in a big room, discuss things, but no one speaker. It takes turns. There's no mic used. Everybody's always yelling louder. Is there anything, any kind of device that works for when there's not a mic used? And
Oh, where is it? These are the locations in Rossmore that currently have hearing loops. I don't know if the space you're talking about is on this list.
I don't think it is.
If it's not on this list, I would go straight to Rossmore Resident Services and tell them you need assistive listening for this location. They can install a loop in that room.
So you said, but you have to have a mic for the hearing loop. Is that correct?
You have to have a microphone, so one way or another. This is a microphone
Yeah, they don't have.
to get the sound in, and somebody has to be able to get the sound out. But there are also portable systems.
Yeah, they don't use a mic either.
Yeah, that's a problem. If you can't understand, they're required to provide communication access for you. They have to do what it takes for you to be able to participate and understand. Is it making more sense? It's not, oh, they're not using a microphone, so they don't need to. That's not, they need to provide auxiliary aids and services so that you can function. You can hear you can hear and understand and participate the same way as a person who doesn't have hearing loss.
I have another thing. I have the same problem she had.
Can you tilt the microphone like you're licking an ice cream cone?
Okay.
Perfect, thank you.
I had the same problem being at a meeting with a round table and no microphone. And therefore, my part of the discussion, I was afraid to say anything because the other people were saying things and I couldn't refer to what they were saying. And so I ended up buying these Captify's glasses. And this doesn't need a microphone. It's basically a pair of glasses that for the 12 or 13 or 15 people around this I just aim my glasses towards anybody who's speaking, and the Captify comes out right underneath the glasses. And for each person, I can now hear everybody around this table, and I'm able to respond appropriately and everything else. And these are fairly expensive. They're about $1,000, but they work very well with that, because at all these roundtable discussions, only one person's allowed to speak. 30, I don't know whether it would work with 35, but the 15 or 20 that we have works perfectly fine.
Excuse me, you have to talk through a microphone, so you have to wait.
I don't think it would, because people are sitting in a huge square and you wouldn't see the people. I can, across from you, you might see them in either end, but then there's all these people on this side. I'm always leaning out to see if I can maybe do a little lip reading. And I agree with you. I don't speak often because whether it's something's already been said, I don't know it. And it's just difficult. So I don't, that I would, sounds the glasses would be great for a big round table of maybe 10 or 15, but not for 35 people.
Yeah, so I have a question. Have you thought about asking to meet in one of the rooms that has an assistive listening system?
I haven't before. I had no clue about, no, I haven't, and possibly will do. Thank you.
So all of these rooms aren't that big, and all the rooms aren't huge. And you can you can put a hearing loop in your living room. So they could put a small hearing loop in there. But if this is a Rossmore meeting, statistically, by age 65, it's 1 in 3 people. At age 75, it's 1 in 2. Most of the people at your meeting aren't understanding either. Okay? And so people need to know that you can't understand. Yeah. And the current, I think, CEO of Rossmore right now, he used to be resident services. And that was like, oh, maybe 2015, 16, maybe. And I went and talked to him. He's very aware of the fact of the needs of residents.
Is that Jeff?
Yeah. Another thing that they could do is they could do captions. So you could run, theoretically, and I'm just letting you know about, you could somebody could connect their iPhone and to a projector and project them on a screen. Somebody could use a laptop, have a blank screen for a slide in PowerPoint and turn on the captions in PowerPoint. You could, in the state of California, if it's 3 or more people in a meeting, you can call ahead and request a remote captioner, which is like what we have today, that would run about $400 to have this person do it, and you get it for free. So you just need to have a microphone, a laptop, be able to project the captions. And Jim did that at his birthday.
At my birthday party, I set up with Hamilton Relay, the California Connect, and got a captioner. And I just instructed everybody there to bring up their phone, and I showed them how to access the captions. There was no microphone or PA system at all. All it was people with their phones. And people who needed to could read the captions on their phone. And I talked into my phone, and it became using Bluetooth. I'm sorry, using Zoom. So everybody zoomed into this meeting, but we're all in the same room. And it actually worked. It actually worked pretty well.
And so like what Jim is talking about, if you're new to learning about these things, it can be overwhelming that you don't know the language. Contact us later. Jim would come probably and show you how to do that. One of us would come and help you. Our chapter does house calls. We have a question on Zoom. Jean Marsh.
Yes. I'm in San Francisco, and that's why I've been attending some of your presentations on Zoom. And I know you talk about contacting you. I don't know how to contact you. And actually, I'm going to the Hearing Loss Association convention. And I got my cochlear implant on Valentine's Day in 2025, and this is my first attempt at trying to travel. So I have lots of questions, and I'm wondering if I might contact you after the meeting to ask you a few other questions, and how might I be able to do that? And I look forward to meeting you and seeing you in person at the convention. But yeah, I have some questions here and some things about the TSA card, and I know you're passing out things at your meeting there, but I'm wondering if I might get some of those cards from you some way. And anyway,
Yeah.
I have some
So,
other questions. How might I contact you?
I had 1,000 printed, so we handed them out at the Walk for Hearing. Here, I'm taking them to the convention. Now, if you would like to have one before you go, what day are you leaving?
Monday.
Oh, okay, so I'm
Monday.
leaving Monday too. It's two. Okay, so
Yeah.
the TSA notification card is on your computer on the TSA website. My email address is hearinglossdv.org.
A. Thomas at
hearinglossdv.org. There it is.
Okay. Okay. Got
It's
it.
on your captions now.
Okay.
Okay, so Jean,
Yeah.
I can direct you to where that is online. And I used to print them from my home computer and take this paper one with me. So you could do that still. You still have enough time probably to call TSA to use TSA Cares. And
So with TSA, do you purchase TSA? Is there a cost for that? And is there a cost for
no,
TSA Cares? No.
no, it's free.
Oh, no cost for TSA. And then you get in the TSA line and it's quicker.
No, it's all free. TSA
Okay.
Cares is free.
Okay.
The
So I would,
card is on their website. It's called a notification card. And this space where this white space is, it's blank to fill in your disability. So I filled it in with my printer so that I could send it to print them and also to send it to the printer.
I see. Okay. And to
Oh.
reach TSA Care, I just go online and search for TSA Care for a website, or is there a phone number, or could I just call
Yeah,
the Delta
Alan
airline
sent
that
you
I'm
a
flying
link.
on? Oh,
It's in the chat. Look in the chat. So look in the menu bar across the bottom of your screen.
yes, I'm looking there.
And look in the chat, and Alan Katsura put the TSA Cares link for the web.
Oh, in the chat. Okay, not on the, I see. I was looking on the captions. Okay.
Yeah, in the chat.
Oh, I see it here. Requests for TSA Cares Assistance Transportation Administrator. Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And in the, Alan, on the piece that you put in the chat, is that the link to the notification card or just TSA Cares?
The last one is for the request for TSA Cares. I haven't found a link for the card.
Okay, so Alan said the last one is to request TSA Cares. And he's looking for the link for the notification card. But Gene, if he doesn't find it before the meeting ends,
Yes.
email me and I'll send it to you tonight.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to this has been very informative, but I'm also so much to know. But anyway, I hope to learn a lot on this trip and start figuring out, because I used to travel a great deal, and obviously Now this is my first attempt at even getting to an airport and trying to get to places. And I'm going, a couple other people from the North Bay chapter are going, so we're going on the same basically midnight flight on Delta on Monday night. But on the way back, I'll be on my own.
Yeah. So Jean, make sure to go look at your reservation and make
Yes.
sure that you've selected that you need that you have special needs.
Yes. And I called them and made the reservation, and I did tell them that over the phone. But
I wouldn't trust that. So you can pull up your reservation online.
Okay.
I would check to make sure that was selected. And
Okay.
this piece that I'm telling you, and I'm looking at Jean, right? It's not very polite in the room. Who am I looking at, right? I was in a situation coming home from the convention 2 years ago with people from another chapter, and we were all flying back to Oakland. And I always say that I have special needs, so mine was taken care of. And they were in front of me, and they'd heard part of what you needed, but they didn't hear all of it. So the agent is asking them, they're saying, oh, we need to pre-board, we can't hear. And he said, do you have special needs? That was the language he was using. And they were all saying no. And he must have said this 5 times or more. And they kept saying no. And I'm going, oh, people. Okay, so he said, if you don't have special needs, I can't help you. So they walked away and they were all upset. And I went up next and I said, oh, I can't hear. I need to pre-board so I can understand the announcements. He said, oh, what's your name? Your reservation. Pulls it up. It says right there, deaf. Great. Okay, go ahead. And then I said to him, turns out we were all here at a hearing loss convention. And the people who were in front of me were also at the convention. And we all have hearing loss. They didn't understand what you were actually asking them, so they kept saying no, but they absolutely can't understand the announcements. And they need assistance, need special assistance. So I went and got my friends and colleagues and brought them back up. And I said, all of these people have needs. And later they were saying that never dawned on them that hearing loss would fit that qualification. They thought he was asking about mobility issues. So if anybody ever says to you, do you have special needs? Do you have special something? Do you say yes? Don't ever say no, because that's what the law says they're required for people with special needs. But if you don't have special needs, they're not. Okay?
Got it.
Thanks for coming today. And I look forward to meeting you.
And on today's news, American Airlines and Delta have canceled many flights because of the fuel problem. And for the woman who's going to wherever, be sure you check online about your air flight because they've been canceling. And they said legally, they don't have to contact you. You're supposed to be looking at it. They're legal to refund the money, but they're not legally bound to notify you. So be sure to you check your flights before you get ready.
Thank you, Carol. Jean, did you understand what was said in the room?
Yes, that I should check my flight and make sure that it hasn't been canceled.
Okay. And Carol also said that they're not required to notify you that it was canceled, but if it gets canceled, they're required to refund your money. So if all of our flights were canceled, it would be a mess because I'm telling you, I had no idea how hard it was to get to where we're going in Kentucky.
Yes, exactly. If they cancel it, how in the world do we rebook to get there in time for the convention? Yeah.
Yeah. Be a problem.
Yeah.
Is anybody else on Zoom have a question? Okay, and does anybody else in the room have a question? Oh, we have two more questions. Okay. And you know what? Can we try that other microphone? That microphone doesn't work very well.
Can
And
you
we
hear me?
tested before the meeting, and I'm wondering if it was the other microphone.
Can you hear me?
But you're
Okay.
much better.
The announcements that I have trouble hearing are the ones that come from the cockpit, from the pilot. You can usually hear the stewardess telling you to fasten your seatbelts or something, but the ones that come over the PA system, is there any solution to that?
We've talked about everything that is here. So if you're connected, if the announcements from the cockpit were coming through the infotainment system, they happen to have one. If you were connected to that system, you should be able to hear it. Well, no, it depends on what plane it is. It depends on what
Well,
airline. Oh, there are all these
infotainment
variables.
System just gets suspended on the screen. It kind of goes black and it says something about announcement. It's not captioned on the screen. It interrupts your movie or whatever you're watching.
I'm not talking about reading it as captions. I'm talking about hearing it as audio through the infotainment system. And I found for myself personally, depends on where I'm sitting on the airplane. So after the first trip I took after my cochlear implants, God, I couldn't believe it. I understood everything. And the next flight I took, I didn't understand. And so I've been paying more attention now. Depends on where the loudspeaker is. So I think the first trip I must have been sitting right underneath the loudspeaker or close to it. And other trips I have not. So just being aware of your surroundings, and that can have an effect. Oh, when I get on the airplane, you're pre-boarding, all right? I tell the flight attendant at the front door that I want them to know I have hearing loss and I will not be able to understand the announcements on the airplane, and they will have to come tell me if there's an important announcement.